Welcome to Talks with the Invisible Gardener. I'm Andy Lopez, your host. This is where we dig into soil health and learn how to grow smarter organically. Ready to clean up your garden and the planet? Let's go. Don't panic, it's organic. Hey, Andy Lopez here. How y'all doing? Boy, have I got a wonderful show for you today. So why don't we just get into it and let's get going. So today's show is protecting your fruit trees and veggies naturally. Of course, I'm going to say naturally, right? That's what it's all about. And it's not just your fruit trees and veggies, but anything you're growing, your roses, your lawn, everything I'm telling you is going to apply. So let's see what we have going today. So what we're going to do is talk about organic strategies. Now, organic to me, and I'm the old-fashioned way. Organic means natural. However, nowadays, when you go out in the store, you buy natural. It may not be organic, right? But to me, it's natural. So organic are simple, natural ways that you can control the critters. By natural, meaning anything that you can make yourself, that you can use it from nature. Those are the things you get. No chemicals are going to be used here today. So let me talk to you a little bit about compost tea and why it's nature's shield, why I call it nature's shield. And you may not have been following around. If you're new, then let me just explain briefly what happens. See, my belief and my experience has taught me that in order to keep certain creatures away, you're going to have to rely on their sense of smell. Now, there are different types of creatures. So you may be thinking about, bugs coming and attacking your plants. Or you may be thinking about rabbits or squirrels or other creatures. So let's just talk a little bit about bugs. Why bugs? The way you should protect your plants from bugs, whether it be aphids, whether it be any kind of creature, ants. Let's talk about that. And the way it works, and that's why Mother Nature, that's why compost tea is Mother Nature's shield, because the way Mother Nature set it up for bugs to attack plants is having a trace mineral deficiency. So if the plant has a trace mineral deficiency, right, the bugs are going to attack it. I tell people the greater the stress, the greater the pest. And the stress basically means anything, but basically usually means you're not getting your food, right? You're not getting what you need to eat to be healthy. And that's why, and so that is the easiest way to protect your plants from things like caterpillars, things eating your plants other than these other creatures. I tell you the difference in a little bit. But so that is the process that you're going. That's why we talk about compost. That's why I talk about compost tea all the time. That's why I talk about having a worm farm, having a worm tea, because these are ways that you can get the minerals to the plants. Mother Nature has set it up so that rocks and all those things are digested by these creatures, the biology, and then the liquid that they put out is the liquid that the plants can absorb. It's just like we can't eat rock dust, but so we get trace minerals from other things that get trace minerals, okay? And so the other thing that's interesting too is that earthworms, when I talk about earthworm tea, and I talk about earthworm, we also can talk about worm castings, right? And so these things to me, I have discovered to be when as a gardener, I would, dig in the ground and I would always find earthworms. And I thought that at first, I used to have people call me up and said, there are worms in my garden. What do we do to get rid of them? I go, oh dear. So when I started to do gardening, I would see worms. I thought, cool, little creatures here. What do they do? So after many years of learning, I realized that these guys provide all the fertilizer the plants need, but in such a way that, and that's why it's called microbial tea. That's why I call it microbial tea. And all the trace minerals are provided to these plants. And when these trace minerals are all present, then the plant's different. And one way you can tell the plant difference is I often try to talk to you about a refractometer, what a Brix level is. A refractometer is a device you take an apple, you squeeze an apple on it. It's a little lens you look through, has numbers on it. The higher the number, the greater the Brix level. it measures sugar, but I realized a long time ago that's how Mother Nature gets the trace minerals to the plants throughout the plants. Sugar. So the higher the sugar level, the higher the mineral level. And the higher the mineral level, the less stress and the less pests and diseases you're going to get. So this is the ideal way that you want to take care of maybe half your garden in terms of the damages that you incur from caterpillars and other creatures like that. Now, on the other hand, we can talk about the rabbits and all those types of other creatures. And the reason why they come to eat your lettuce is because it's good. It's the best lettuce they've ever tasted in their life. You see, they're attracted. They're like little people like us. They're attracted to sources of minerals for themselves. So you're gonna have to treat them in a slightly different way. The other thing that I talked to you a little bit about today is how to, because I mentioned you can make, I see I have a worm farm and I mainly do worm tea. That's how I run a business. My business is to take this biology in this liquid form and put it out on people's properties and also help their property, tell them what to do so that it lives there, doesn't die, right? Many people don't have any setup here for the biology you live in. That's part of the problem that people have now. No soil. So I teach you out how to take that little bit of work, because when it comes out to the worms, it doesn't really have it all there yet. But you have to learn how to provide, because when you're doing a worm farm, you have different layers of things you build up. And I have another show that talks about. I have a continuing show on the worm farm, shows you what I do with my worm farm. You should follow that. That way you'll see what's going on. Because the more you put into these places where these earthworms live, the more this tea is going to come out. Even rock dust. Now, rock dust is very intense. You do a little bit of rock dust in the worm farm. And the reason why I have the cow is here. The cow is the stomach. And everything has to do with the stomach when it has to do with animals and how they transfer minerals down to their manure. And so Rudolf Steiner learned a long time ago that the cow is a very special, actually has two stomachs. One stomach's for them, one stomach that they take and grind everything up, and out comes the poop, and out comes amazing stuff. So the biology in that stomach breaks all these things down to an amazing formula that you want to do to protect your plants. Animals they're creatures like rabbits and chicken, they all have different biology, but this is the best one. So whenever you're making compost, try to make it with some type of cow manure, okay? Let's see what's next. So one of the things that I do for when I do my worm farm is I have a worm farm for a different reason than people have worms for composting. So this picture here is basically for a person who wants to compost their kitchen waste. So yeah, you can have worms, you feed the worms, but you're using it to compost to make a liquid that you can, not necessarily a liquid, but a compost that you would use. You turn it into compost you would use. I myself use in a slightly different way. First of all, the picture is slightly wrong because they would never go through eat that lemon. Okay, their worms would never, ever, ever. They can't handle spicy stuff. Things like lemons would literally kill them. So this is nice, actually, the best for worms. Okay, so you have to just be real careful on what you give them. Usually, what I do is, for me, I feed the worms and then I give them a bath, and I mix my liquid. And see, so I only feed them a little bit. There's no way they can take all the compost, all the food that I make. And there are lots of different ways that you can increase that biology, because you can go out onto your yard, you can pick leaves of other plants and put that into your worm farms. Anything you put in your worm farm from your property has biology that will end up in your worm juice eventually. I even do biochar. I will do different things. So take a look at at the session. It's called On the Worm Farm. So one of the things you can do for these other creatures that are going to come around to eat your food, whether it be rabbits, squirrels, even gophers, is what I've learned that this is I think is a spearmint or peppermint. Okay, so in my garden right now, I started planting things that none of these guys would eat. The spearmint, the peppermint. I have lavender growing. I have I have sage growing, aloe vera growing too, but it's not so much. And I have a lemongrass, and I have oregano. The rabbits and the squirrels and all the other creatures just ignore them because they can't eat that. Okay, they won't eat that. So there's two ways you could go about this, and you probably end up doing both. I take, for example, if I'm growing lettuce, I'll plant it right in with whether it be my basil or whether it be with my lemongrass or whatever other herbs I have. I stick them right in there. They grow together, and 9 times out of 10, the rabbit, the squirrel will not touch it. The other way you could do it is that you can plant your vegetables, but you make a tea from this stuff, whether it be peppermint tea, spearmint tea, lavender tea, oregano tea. You make a tea and then you spray the plants, whether you spray the whole area. The spraying aspects of it has to be done on a regular basis because mirror is natural. So when the sun comes out, it dries it out. After a day or two, the scent is gone. You have to do it again. There's a third way to use these things is that so for example, I've learned to grow garlic. So I had to, and when I started growing tomatoes, I didn't really was growing the best tomatoes because I didn't know about a brick system, and I was learning. Okay, so the tomatoes was growing, but the calipers were still coming around. So I meant now I could see, well, I wasn't doing something right because the calipers shouldn't get it. But then what I did was I planted garlic at the base of the tomato plant. And the tomato, sure enough, tasted like garlic, but the bugs would not touch it. So you want to start planting as many different kinds of herbs as you can in your garden, right? As the mint variety, it's also medicinal. There you go. The citronella, and also happens to be, if you look at a variety of flowers that they won't touch, you can use those as well. Most of the flowers are non-toxic, and so you'll learn to use things that you're not going to die from if you eat it. For example, I wouldn't. One year I grew nicotine. I figured I'd grow my own, nicotine. So I grew tobacco leaves from the North American native Indians. But I learned that you can't make that stuff and then spray it everywhere and then don't get sick from it. So the ideal scenario is just to do your medicinal herbs. Citronella is a wonderful one. You can grow that one. You make a tea out of it and spray it. If it bothers you to spray the lettuce, just spray around it. You can spray around the bed. So what I do sometimes, I spray on the border of the garden. They have to go through that barrier. And so there are lots of things that you can grow that you can use. And the other thing I do that I did, and I still teach it to people, is you can go to your grocery store and you walk around. You'd be surprised how many wonderful organic products you could use to spray around. One of them is vinegar, for example. You get organic vinegar. Doesn't have to be straight vinegar. You just use maybe a small percentage of the vinegar, add to water, spray around the periphery of your garden. The vinegar works really good on natural ant control. It works really good in terms of keeping other creatures from finding the food. But also, too, it depends on which store you go into. For example, I go into a health food store which has a whole herbs section, right? It also has essential oils. Essential oils is something you can use. You have to use it. Remember, it's very concentrated. So 1 drop in a gallon of essential oil. So you can use oregano oil, citronella oil. You can use rosemary oil. You can use spearmint. Lots of different things that you normally would use. I have this whole case as maybe 20 different types of essential oils for you add it to water and it's like a humidifier, so it's like aromatherapy. But that aromatherapy is exactly what you want to be spraying around. There are different companies that you'll find in your store, different types of natural soaps that you can use. So one of my favorite is made from, it's made from, I like the rose one, but they have eucalyptus, they have lavender, they have cinnamon, they have a pennyroyal, and they're made from herbs, and they've been around a long, long time. It's a Castile soap. So if you look at these soaps, the ingredients are clean, 100% organic. It's not going to bother your garden. You learn how to make a small amount to use. The other things you get in the garden, in the store, is coffee. And so one of the things I get, and this is organic, okay, we're talking about organic coffee. You want to get organic cold brew coffee. It's like a concentrated coffee. So one jar it'll say it makes 40 cups, right? Right? So that has the caffeine in it. Caffeine is very, very toxic to a lot of creatures. So you learn how to spray that around. You can spray it on flowers, roses. You can spray it around the base of fruit trees, spray it around the outside of your property or around your vegetable garden. A lot of times, what I would do in the past when I have raised beds, I spray the wood on the raised bed so they had to climb over that or get past that barrier. The coffee, for example, will kill snails and a wide variety of other creatures as well. And if you think about a snail having some coffee, then he's speeding down the road. That's not, either he won't like that. And it's the same thing with most animals. If they happen to eat something, where a rabbit eats a deer, they'll go, oh, their little hearts will start going, plum, 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 plum. Oh, I don't like this. And they'll walk away. It's called cold brew coffee. The one that really works the best is vanilla. Vanilla also happens to be toxic for most insects. We can handle it. We love it. We're fine. So you learn how to use that in your garden. Remember, you don't have to spray the plant like you have a tomato plant. You don't have to spray the plant. You can spray around it. But then you want to understand the real reason why the plant is being attacked in the first place. But if you do that for your roses, everything, you don't really have to use any things to protect it. But unless you have a very bad rabbit problems, and then these are the things you can use. Garlic works really, really good. Don't mix garlic and coffee together. It's very, very bad. But you can make cold brew coffee, spray around plants that are being attacked by rabbits, deer, you know, uh, that will keep them away, but you have to spray on a regular basis. One of the best ways to protect the animals on the long term, especially if you're in an environment with lots and lots of animals, like here in Malibu, there's no way you can constantly be spraying all the time. So a lot of people, what they do is they build a giant cage that they have the garden inside of it. And that may take some money, but it solves you a lot of problems. You can grow anything you want to. A greenhouse, I talk a lot about a greenhouse. A greenhouse is this perfect way to grow year-round in a garden where all the animals are outside and can't get at you. Ideally, I like to have a combination of a greenhouse and an outdoor garden. There are things you can do to cover your raised beds to keep other creatures from coming around, because there are lots of ways you can make a little screening around the bed, outside of the bed. So there are lots of things you could do to protect your plants from the animals. I also, like I said, cold brew coffee. Organic milk is one of my favorite because, as I said before, it's a trace mineral deficiency, and calcium is one of the most important trace minerals needed by plants. They need the calcium in order to process all the other trace minerals. So this is a very important mineral that's needed by plants, but to be able to produce, be healthy. And so organic milk is that perfect way to do that. I use organic molasses. I like Granny Smith's molasses because it's rich in iron. Iron is another trace mineral that's desperately needed by the plants in order to produce other minerals, other sources of food for the plants. Garlic oils, you can buy the garlic, crush it, make it yourself. It's easy enough to do. There's a product called Garlic Bear. It says it has 100 bulbs of garlic in it. That's ready for you to use. You can buy organic garlic oil. It should have said organic garlic oil there, but it says it's garlic oil. I would use organic garlic oil because if you're spraying your organic garden, you want to continue with everything you're using. Like the cold brew coffee, you want that to be organic too. Rice water is another interesting thing that you'll be spraying because it has a specific type of biology that comes with that. And you can spray that. You can make, but what you do is you get a gallon you get a gallon jug, fill it up with distilled water, put in about 2 cups of white rice in there, close it up. Fill it up the rest of the way, close it up, put it in a dark place for a week. When it comes back, you're going to see that it has different layers. The top layer is the layer that you can throw that. I never throw that where you take that and you can add it to water and use that later. But the rest of this liquid has a certain type of biology that you take that and you can blend it to. You can make 10 gallons of this stuff and spray it. When you do that, the nutritional level rises immediately from the plants, because this is one of the ways that the biology increases the food intake. And so when the plant gets really all this energy, it doesn't get attacked by the insects. And then again, you just have to, and you see that on the very corner there is the soap that I talked about, the Castile soap. So this particular one is one of my favorites, but there's almond, there's eucalyptus, a whole bunch of Castile soap, and different companies making them as well. So you learn to use the law of the little bit would be what's the smallest amount I could use and still make it work. So you don't want to dump a lot of it. So in a gallon and you also want to use this filtered water, get a garden filter because the city water is very bad for the biology, and that's one of the things you want to do. You want to increase the biology content of everything on your property, make it super, super healthy. And of course, the rabbits that come around because they want to eat organic produce as well. So you learn how to key into their sense of smell. The coffee has an advantage, just like the garlic has an advantage over the other things. Coffee smells like coffee, but if you use the French vanilla, it'll smell like vanilla and they'll smell out a mile away. And of course, the garlic has its own scent too. Once it smells that, it won't find you. Diatomaceous earth there's 3 different kinds of diatomaceous earth. There's food grade, garden grade, and pool grade. So people have called me, oh, I got a good deal from this pool company. They sell diatomaceous earth at 1/10 the price. Yeah, because it's toxic. It's not for people to use. It's for a filter. And garden grade, that means it's diatomaceous earth, but not the same quality. It's so that you can use that in your garden. You can sprinkle it around the plants and stuff like that. It basically is like little razor blades, and anything that goes anywhere near it will get it all over them, that would really damage them and keep them from coming around. But remember, the wind can blow that into your eyes, and that's no good either. That's no good too. So I wouldn't use it so much unless you know how to use diatomaceous earth. And then in your kitchen, there's tons of things, like I said before, that you could use. You can learn how to brew these things, and you can learn how to. I would you it's like cooking. You get to learn how different things you can add that works for you. Uh, Different people don't like garlic, right? And they don't, but they do like other things. So you just use what you like from your garden. So I would grow a wide range of plants in there, not just your vegetables, stuff like that. Broad variety of medicinal herbs, flowers, and then you can learn to make tea. For example, basil. Basil is toxic if you make a tea and spray it on the plants. It's the same thing with lettuce. You can eat lettuce fine, but make a tea out of it and then see what it does when you spray it on bugs. And as I say, experiment to find the right strength because it can vary from products from day to day, the different things that you make and how you make it. Always use filtered water, or get a garden filter because again, what you're really doing is you're increasing the biology of everything. Everything that's alive has the biology. So when you make a tea out of it, and you do not want to over boil it, you don't want to boil it when you make a tea. You want to bring the water hot enough, turn off the heat, and then pour it over the plants and let it soak. And some people let it soak overnight. That makes it better. Then you take that liquid and you pour it out, and that's your concentrate. And so I would start a little log, say I add this and this to it because you have to always get confusion. What did I add last time that worked? So believe me, you want to say I added this, I added that, and then you tried it, and did it work? It did not work. You'll find that sometimes it works, and that's what you want to use, and sometimes the very same mixture doesn't work. So you have to learn what plants you're doing it with as well. So there's lots of things that you can do to learn the process. So here's a little conclusion of why earthworm tea works. Okay, it builds strong, healthy plants that naturally resist pests and diseases. It delivers essential trace minerals. You need 96 different trace minerals. 96. You miss just one of them, there's some bug or disease out there will come around knocking. It's just one of them. And it's very hard to get all 96. The only way Mother Nature would get 96 is she recycles everything around the world. So we don't have that going on right now. There's a problem with the human race and the way they have to screw up the whole process that Mother Nature works with. And so you have to be Mother Nature. You have to supply the all the trace minerals. That's why I go on my way to get rock dust. I go on my way to get various different sources of natural sources of trace minerals. Put that into your garden, put that into the tea that you're making. And basically you're infusing your garden with living biology. That's what you want. You want more and more and more. That's how, if you go to forests, you'll see biologies everywhere. So if your garden has earthworms, mushrooms are starting to come up, birds are all over the place, and if you dig down, you're going to find living things in there. That's what you want. And once you have that balance, then you see that the animals won't get out of hand so much. Definitely the insects and the pests will be controlled. So you just have to learn how to work with the animals, how to remember they have rights also. So sometimes I end up feeding them over other parts of the property. Let go that way and use their sense of smell to drive them away. Okay. So I think that covers what we're talking about today. And I have a whole bunch of really cool shows set up coming down the road. So go to my website. You can go by clicking here or go to invisiblegardeners.com, sign up to get my newsletter. Happy growing. Okay. Bye now. Take care. It's been great. I'm Andy Lopez. Thanks for hanging out with me on Talks with the Invisible Gardener. If you like what you heard, hit follow, drop a like, and leave a comment. I actually read them. Want more good dirt? Visit invisiblegardener.com. And remember, don't panic, it's organic.